Hey guys, this is Captain Fizz representing Society of Sports, S.O.S. This brand new show coming to you every Thursday night, bringing to you whole news from sports, basically all the brand new stuff coming up, new information, all the greatest stories. Basically we're going to talk your ear off here. Tonight's episode, of course, is going to be based on Conor McGregor, how much of a child of he's being as of lately. Bring you some stats towards the UFC and basically just have some fun. So grab your beer, lean back in your chair, and get ready to learn. Enjoy some music, and we'll be right back with some more fun. Hey guys, and welcome back to Society of Sports. I am Captain Fizz. I am also the co-host for the Captain Fizz Mask Guys show, which appears on Tuesday nights. I am doing this one solo, so it'll be a little different speed, a little different style. Not everybody's gonna like it, but I don't really give a damn. So anyone who is a UFC fan definitely knows the name Conor McGregor. If you don't know the name, you are obviously not a UFC fan and should really probably go dunk your head in a big, gigantic cesspool of a toilet. He shocked the world as of lately. He was supposed to appear at UFC 200 to fight Nate Diaz as a rematch after he got his butt handed to him last time. He decided that he was going to quote unquote retire, and which basically was his little hissy fit, so to speak, of not wanting to appear at UFC promotional events leading up to UFC 200. He felt that he wasn't paid enough to appear at these things and to promote the sport, which puts money in his pocket, basically. I think he's a bonehead. I think he's a complete fucking idiot. I don't understand what's going through his head. But, whatever. He is very arrogant, very outspoken. It's why people seem to love the guy. I think he's way too hyped, on things. He should spend more time, actually not getting his ass handed to him in the ring. Which, he's 7-1. Can't really say he's always been, handed to him. But, give me a break here. When you're being paid $1 million in one fight, which is more than I think anybody has made in a single fight, you are paid to promote. So you get your ass there, you sit down in the damn chair, you promote the fight that you're supposed to be in, because if you're not promoting it, you don't have people watching it, you're not making money. It's completely pathetic that a guy like him, who continuously says, this is the fight game, this is what I do it because, this and this and this, but when it comes down to it, he refuses to sit his ass in the chair and promote the same fight that he's in. Whatever, whatever floats his boat, whatever, as far as I'm concerned, Dana White made the right decision and benching the guy, at least for 200. We don't know if he'll be back in the near future. Personally, I hope he's out for a while to kind of get his head in check, get his attitude a little, adjustment as far as I'm concerned, and start realizing that the UFC now isn't like the UFC way back when. Guys like GSP, the whole thing, promoted itself. You got big names and all that. You don't need, promotional. You don't need to, have interviews and all this stuff. Now you do. there's a big market, not just UFC, but other events, mixed martial arts. The lower leagues are popping up. They're getting more popular. People want to go. Why spend big money for pay per view that honestly really isn't worth the money? So anyways, he recently came out saying that he was back at 200. Dana White has you know refuted it, saying that it's not true. He is not at 200, and that they're actively searching for a replacement. Well, they have. John Jones versus Daniel Cormier for the light heavyweight title. It will be the main event. I think that's a wicked event. You got two very decent fighters, definitely very at it as far as I'm concerned. Voices, fighting in the ring, talented people. Of course, John Jones hasn't been around for a while. He did win his last match against OSP. But at the same point, OSP pretty much took him the distance. John Jones really didn't have the firepower, that he used to have, and really did not look like a quality fighter anymore. Maybe the rust is gone. Maybe it's not. Maybe this is, where he clinches the light heavyweight title for sure, instead of the interim that he currently holds. And then you got Jose Aldo versus Frankie Edgar. I really apologize if I get the names wrong. I really haven't had a whole lot of time to pronounce every single fighter's name, but that's okay. I don't give a damn. That's for the featherweight title. You got Miesha Tate versus Amanda Nunes for the bantamweight title, which is the one I'm most excited for. This title has changed hands so many times and it's absolutely ridiculous. Ronda Rousey, Holly Holmes, Miesha Tate, maybe Amanda Nunes is next. Who knows? I guess we'll find out. And you also got Travis Brown versus Cain Velasquez. There's unfortunately no title there. Cain Velasquez has said he's going to be trying to stay healthy before the fight, so he's not injured again, which seems to be very common with the guy. Unfortunately, he's a decent fighter. What makes John Jones versus Daniel Cormier the most exciting, of course, is the whole pound for pound fighter, so to speak. John Jones arguably is the greatest pound for pound fighter. He has a wicked bombshell of a hand. It may not be as much of a factor as of lately due to his rustiness and not participating as of lately, of course. No fault to anyone but himself. But basically, the top 10, John Jones, Demetrius Johnson, Luke Rockhold, Fabricio Werdum, Dominic Cruz, Rafael Dos Anjos, Robbie Lawler, Conor McGregor, Daniel Cormier, and Jose Aldo. And, Miesha Tate is, number 15. Just because of, her title fight, I felt it was definitely necessary to introduce, what her pound for pound was, which is actually really impressive. In the top 15, there's actually 2 females. I love to see more, females in the UFC in a more bigger capacity. I think, we're coming up to a point where we should see a women's match as, the main event, not just in the top 3, but as the main one. I think, we definitely need to, push that forward, embrace, the fact that women fighting is just as powerful, if not more powerful than some of the men. Ooh, sorry. But to see John Jones versus Daniel Cormier, both of them in the top 10 for, pound for pound. And, the whole Conor McGregor attitude, between the two, basically mouthing off to each other, in their interviews and all that. I haven't seen any of the weigh-ins, which will be coming up eventually, sometime before June 19th, July 9th. Wow, I'm really not paying attention to my notes, and this kind of sucks. But if you listen to our previous show on Tuesdays, you know for a fact that I'm not really a notes person. I kind of wing it. And, it's more about opinion and attitude and behavior. As far as I'm concerned, numbers are just a thing, Numbers, they go up, they go down, they change, they disappear. It's about the attitude. The whole, you look at the fighter's attitude, how they go in the ring. They look at their opponent, not like that they're scared of them or, that they're equal. I'm going to beat you. That's all it is. When you start getting to the point where you think you are the only one in the league, the only one to represent, the company, that is when it becomes a problem. And, we see that with Conor McGregor. He is that person who seems to think that without him, the UFC wouldn't be popular. The UFC wouldn't be making money. And I don't see that to be the point. You look at even before him, guys who decide to, retire on their own, BJ Penn, GSP, all these big guys, very important ones who, built the company and, helped create it to be what it is. They deserve more respect than a guy who hasn't even had 10 fights in the UFC. Yeah, he's had his whole, career beforehand, whatever you want to call it. But he's less than 10 fights in the UFC. The guy's not even big enough to call himself equal to any of these other guys, as far as I'm concerned. He's a little peon compared to them. Yeah, he gets the big money, and that's all because of his mouth. If he spent more time filling it and less time opening it, he would be a much better respected fighter. And, by not just, the fans, but also by the other people in in the rings with him. I personally don't respect him. I've always been a Nate Diaz fan. I was really glad to see Nate Diaz finally, end his mouth, and maybe ultimately that's what caused what we have now. McGregor bowing out, being replaced, and who knows, may not technically return for, the near future. He might pull around to Rousey and, go the whole, well, I lost, so I wanted to kill myself. I wanted to do this, I understand losing is a big thing. Losing is a bad thing. But at the same point, losing isn't everything. If your only point is you're focusing on how that you lost a match, start looking at why you lost the match. Don't blame other people, oh, I spent all this time promoting. I spent all this time doing this, running back and forth, back and forth. I couldn't, I couldn't train. I couldn't do. You are a fighter. You spend your life training. If your only excuse is I didn't have enough time before the fight to train, that's not good enough to explain why you lost. To make up an excuse for why you lost. You're a professional. You spend your entire life doing this. Why? Of all excuses to use of why you lost, why that one? Blaming the company that brought you in, blaming the company that puts, money in your bank account, puts food on your table, blaming them for why you lost your one and only fight, in the UFC. It's ridiculous. It's like a child throwing a, tantrum. There's no point to it. It's absolutely ridiculous. And, it really makes him look worse. Yes, he's a quality, fighter, but how many people are going to want to fight him? How many people are going to want to promote for him? How many people are going to want to represent him when he turns around and he's told, no, you have to do this, and his only response is, I retire. How many times is he going to quote unquote retire before people are finally going to get fed up of him? He's a mouthpiece. He's cocky. A lot of his fights, minus a couple of them, were pure luck. It was not skill. It's just how he is. He's a cocky fighter. He tricks. He goes out. He makes the other people step up. He makes the other people make mistakes, and that's all it is. His attitude, his stance, his way he enters. That is why other ones lose. It's a showmanship. But he says it's all about the money. All about the money. And in the UFC it is. I've got the top career fighter earnings, and that's throughout their entire career. Now, I'll give Conor McGregor this. 8 fights in the UFC, and he's already ranked number 16. And